Next to me is the all-new Hummer EV, and it's enormous. It's also extremely fast and fully electric. So what is it like to drive, and is it worth its lofty $108,000 base MSRP? Today we're gonna find out exactly that. The Hummer is powered by 3 electric motors, making a combined total of 1,000 horsepower. Yes, that's right, 1,000 horsepower and 1,200 pound-feet of torque. Now, thanks to instant torque and all-wheel drive, it's able to sprint from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat. Impressive in its own right, but unbelievable when you think of the fact that this actually weighs 9,600 pounds. It goes on to run the quarter mile in 11.7 seconds. It would be faster than that, except it hits its top speed well before the quarter mile mark at 106 miles an hour. That being said, if it went any faster than that, it'd be an absolute death trap. It already takes 504 feet to slow down from 100 miles an hour. Imagine this thing going 160. Probably not ideal. Now, it's got a 205 kilowatt hour battery, meaning a range of 329 miles. That's better than the F-150 Lightning and better than the standard range Rivian truck. Looks-wise, the Hummer EV is absolutely insane. It's so massive and imposing on the road, and it's got some pretty cool tech. For instance, these headlights also act as turning indicators that go one by one in this cool sequential pattern. It also says Hummer inside that LED light bar itself. Now, the coolest part is when you plug it in to charge, these yellow lights actually turn blue and go one by one in sequence, showing you the state of charge of the Hummer. How ridiculous is that? We've also got a massive skid plate in case you go heavy off-roading, these awesome tow hooks that are so heavy duty you can't even move them, and if you double tap this, the front trunk opens up electronically to reveal a decent amount of storage space, although in this case, it's got all of those little trays where you can put the roof of the Hummer EV. One really cool part of the Hummer EV is that it's actually a convertible. There's 4 different panels that you can see through right here that are removable. It's not that difficult to remove them, and you can store them in the front trunk. It's got these little slots that I'll show you in a bit that they feed into so you don't shatter this glass. Pretty cool that you've got a massive 1,000 horsepower truck that you can take the roof off of. To increase the vehicle's maneuverability around town, it's got rear axle steering. In fact, this rear wheel can turn up to 10 degrees in the opposite direction of the fronts. But the really cool thing is, it can actually turn in the same direction of the fronts in crab walk mode. This car can actually drive diagonally like a crab crawling across the sand. It's an absolutely ridiculous concept that I don't quite understand what the point of it is, maybe for off-roading, but I absolutely love that they've included it. Now, with the 35-inch tires and massive wheels, each one of these combination of wheel and tires weighs 100 pounds. So if you get a flat, yeah, you gotta call AAA. Inside the Hummer EV, and it is very futuristic. We've got a massive touchscreen display for the infotainment. We've also got a digital display here for the instrument cluster, but one of the coolest parts of the car is all of the different driving modes and the graphics that appear on the screen when you scroll through them. So this is the drive mode selector right here. You can use it to change it from rear wheel steer. You can even put it into crab mode, which we'll do in a little bit. But if you rotate it, check this out. On the display, let's go to off-road mode. It literally shows a Hummer EV off-roading. And then if we go to terrain mode, it's kind of rock crawling, but this is the best mode. In tow and haul, it's literally pulling a space shuttle or a rocket ship. What is that? I really don't understand, but I really like it. What other vehicle have you ever seen where when you put it into tow mode, it's towing a spaceship? Not even Tesla does that, which I don't quite understand. I love the fact that you've got these see-through you've got 4 moonroofs effectively, but you can remove them completely so you can actually experience the open outdoors. Another thing I like about this car is it's got a rear window that completely goes down. Like the entirety of the back of the car can raise and lower. All right, let's take this thing out on the road and see what it's like to drive something that goes from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3 seconds that weighs almost 10,000 pounds. Behind the wheel of the Hummer EV now, and the first thing you notice is this thing is absolutely enormous. It is so commanding on the road. You're so high up off the ground, and it feels like the vehicle is eating the entirety of the road. It's almost a bit ridiculous, to be honest, but it is really, really comfortable. The suspension rides really, really nicely over bumps, but at the same time, it's not as floaty as you would think. The steering does feel pretty direct. It doesn't have a bunch of body roll around turns. It feels predictable.
in terms of its ability to go around turns. It doesn't feel like it's gonna topple over or anything like that. But then on rough bumps, it's surprisingly comfortable at the same time. Now, when you're accelerating in this car, it either makes noise or it doesn't, depending upon what driving mode you're in. So if I use this toggle right now to go over to my mode, then you can go ahead and click the little icon for the edit. And if you go under motor sound, you can change. Right now we're in normal mode, so it's makes a little bit of a sound, but not much when you're just driving around. If you put it into terrain or actually off-road mode, it always makes this little noise. I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but it's pretty ridiculous. I will say the off-road noise, I mean, even when you're 1% on the throttle, you hear it at all times, so it gets a little bit annoying because it has both acceleration and deceleration noises. But it is kind of cool, especially if it's like the first time you're driving this or you want to show it off to friends. The fact it makes these weird alien off-road noises is pretty funny. Visibility is actually amazing in this vehicle, especially because not only does it have windows all the way around you, it also has windows above your head. So you feel like you're in this just open, airy cabin. And the amount of space between me and the passenger is absolutely insane. You can fit 5 people in here unbelievably comfortably. Driving it's really easy as well once you get used to how big it is. It is a little bit scary at first. You're a little bit concerned, am I gonna bang it into anything? I don't wanna run over that person there or smash it into somebody's mailbox. But eventually you get a little bit more comfortable with it. I still am feeling like the tiniest human being ever behind the wheel of this Hummer. And knowing that it's 9,600 pounds, obviously if you were to collide with anything, it would be the end of the world for them. But the level of acceleration for something this ridiculously large is pretty darn impressive. The way it just squats down and accelerates is hilarious. Now we've got rear axle steering. The turning radius is amazing. Apparently it's similar to a Chevy Spark in this large of a vehicle, which is just goes to show how important technology is, that rear wheel steering. And then at high speeds, it makes it a little bit more stable. Although you can feel the rear wheel steer a bit, which kind of seems a little bit odd. Now, if you double tap the traction control, it puts it into Watts of Freedom mode, which is a launch control that lowers the vehicle down, and then you can accelerate from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat. And it's got this really cool graphic on the screen. You'll notice there is also a paddle on the steering wheel itself. What does that do? Well, if you press it, it actually changes the level of brake regeneration, how hard the car slows down when you're off the accelerator. I like it to be kind of intense so that you can do effectively one pedal driving. The vehicle kind of slows itself down when you're off the accelerator, and then you have to get back on the accelerator pedal to speed it back up again. We're in beautiful Rhode Island, and this review is made possible by the Audrain Museum and Audrain Collection, so special thanks to them for making this possible. Make sure to subscribe to their YouTube channel. They do awesome content with Donald Osborne as well as Jay Leno. All right, a couple more acceleration pulls. It's by no means Tesla Plaid quick. I mean, it weighs twice as much as a Tesla Plaid, but with 1,000 horsepower, I mean, no car that weighs nearly 10,000 pounds should accelerate this quickly, and the sound it makes is just so funny. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.